Are you the one that instigates every hangout, every text, every effort? If the answer is yes, there's a pretty good chance that their level of interest in you is not as high as yours. Hello there, my hard rockin' amigos. Man, it is just so stellar to receive your questions, and this week is a doozy. How do I tell someone that I'm interested in them without looking like a complete weirdo? That question just makes me smile, and honestly, it takes me back to when I was your age, and for heaven's sakes, I was a bit of a weirdo, and more honestly, I don't think I ever had enough courage to tell anyone that I was interested in them. I think I was too afraid of being told, well, that's nice, Yuri, but I'm not really interested in you. That idea, the fear that I had that others wouldn't feel the same as I did in getting rejected, or at least it felt like rejection, seemed so big that I wouldn't dare take a risk. But can you and I do a little work right now? I mean, a little therapy. I want to challenge this idea of being rejected right here and now. I think I'll start with a quick story that I'm literally remembering as we speak. Not too long after my parents divorced, I moved to a new town and started going to a new school. Not the best or easiest experience, but honestly, people were pretty chill and they gave me a shot. I remember riding the public bus to school every day. This was in Portugal, by the way, where I grew up. And there was this girl from my class that rode the bus home with me. And we became friends. And sometime during the year, she told me that she knew about someone who liked me. Of course, I was like, nice! Honestly, that didn't really happen in my life, so needless to say, I was pretty excited. And then we basically played this little game of cat and mouse where I tried to guess who it was. Well, right before she got off at her stop, she said in just complete desperation, hello, it's me. I'm sure you're all incredibly embarrassed for me, but of course I was dense and I was completely clueless and I was 15 and I had no game. Needless to say, I was surprised and honestly I was a little speechless, in part because my feelings and interests didn't match her feelings and interests. I certainly didn't think she was a weirdo and we stayed good friends, but we just didn't match. In a way, on a scale, I liked her at about a 5 or a 6 and she liked me more like maybe a 7 or an 8, and that's the point I want to make. I think in our heads we make it worse for ourselves. We tell ourselves that it's rejection, but it isn't quite rejection. I wasn't rejecting her feelings or her as a person. I simply didn't match. And honestly, that's normal. In fact, I would say that matching feelings and interest with someone else is the exception. It's rare. That's why when it happens, it's so unbelievably awesome, right? So first off, give the idea that I don't want to be rejected or I'm afraid of being rejected the boot. I mean, right now, just kick it out of your mind. Shift your thinking this minute. It's not about being rejected. Don't make it sound scarier than it is. What you're trying to gauge is the level of interest and whether you and this other person are similar or a match. By the way, what we're really afraid of is pain and discomfort. And sometimes that looks like embarrassment or feeling awkward, and that's why we hold back. We don't share because we're fearful that it will hurt. Why am I telling you this? Well, it's because in this life you need to lean into, walk into, and sometimes run toward those things that are hard, potentially painful, and potentially uncomfortable. My friend, don't let fear drive your life. You've heard me say it before, or derail your goals, dreams, objectives. It reminds me actually of this totally great quote from a great movie that, by the way, was just redone lately. Maybe you've seen it. It's called Dune. Here's the quote: I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me, and when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path, and where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Now, I know that we can't not fear. Fear is common. It's expected. But you must learn to endure fear and move forward despite its presence inside of you. You got me? Now, just one more quick thing before I get down to the nitty-gritty and what you can do. This is another psychological shift that I would love for you to make right now. Sometimes we are just so unbelievably provincial. What does that mean? It just means that we think and feel that our whole life is right here, right now. And this leads to this kind of all or nothing type thinking. Maybe if it doesn't work now, it will never work. Or even this is what's always going to happen. And my friend, we have to graduate from this type of thinking and instead realize that there will be many people you will like throughout your whole life. And honestly, a slew of people that will be interested in you. And when one doesn't work, there will be other opportunities. This is not life or death. You will match with many people and others will match with you. So get out of this all or nothing, life or death, black and white thinking, capiche? So to return to the question at hand, how do you tell someone or let someone know that you're interested? And I'm going to offer two suggestions. One is a bit more patient and indirect, and the other one is clear and direct. And you can, of course, do whichever one suits your style and courage. But the important part is that you need to have the understanding that you and I, and we just talked about it, right? You are expressing or showing your interest in checking to see if their level of interest is the same. And the way you communicate this will make all the difference, but I'll get to that in a minute. So the more patient and indirect way is you keep hanging out, spending time with, texting, being cool, being an awesome friend, showing excitement when you're around this person, listening to them, and continue doing your own personal work so you yourself are awesome. And you let it happen. Or you hope it will happen. You try to read the clues. Are you the one that instigates every hangout, every text, every effort? If the answer is yes, there's a pretty good chance that their level of interest in you is not as high as yours. Once again, this is normal. Remember, it's rare to find the same or a similar level of interest romantically. But if you're not inclined to just saying it, and you're a little bit more gutless like me, then this patient but active, because you're trying to build a relationship and a friendship approach, is your baby. But if you're gutsy, well then, my friend, send it. But do so with class. Do it with that bit of understanding that if feelings match, yay, this is the best case scenario, right? It's amazing when someone says that they feel the same, but you almost have to go into it with the attitude of, hey, this is how I feel. And I'm taking a chance to say it to you, but I totally respect the way you feel, and I realize it may not be the same. Our friendship is super important to me, and I would love to keep it that way. So here it goes. And then you tell them. See what I'm saying? Of course, this sounds easier than it actually is. And I'm not suggesting that you say that whole paragraph that I just say. But by just having that in your mind, you can deflate some of the pressure of the situation by setting it up right, instead of some all or nothing scenario that will make it awkward for you and for them. What do you think? I mean, did that answer your question? I hope it gave you at least a couple of options. And even if you're just not gung-ho and ready to go for it, you can at least move in a more subtle and patient way and still really build an awesome friendship. Whatever you do, make a decision and move confidently in that direction, in the direction of the things that you want. And take care. And may the odds be ever in your favor, my friend.